If you've watched any of my videos, you are going to be surprised by the tractors I put on this list today. I can promise you that. Hey, it's Brock here with Rock Hill Farm, and today I'm going to give a list of the 5 tractors that I would actually buy today with my own money. This is a hypothetical scenario where I've lost all my equipment. Somehow or another, I don't own any equipment, but I do have this property, and what would I spend my money on? So this means it can be new, it can be used, it can be antique, it can be any brand, any size. When I did this video in the past, I was only looking at brand new tractors in an exact size range. So while I stand by everything I said in my really popular top 5 tractors video, this is a different take on the same topic. And at the beginning of any video where I make a list of tractors and rank tractors like this, I give the disclaimer about my bias and sponsorship. I am not sponsored by any tractor manufacturer, but a local dealership that sells TYM, Bad Boy, and LS tractors has provided me with a tractor to use here on my property. The tractor that I'm using is the TYM 574 that is shown in all of my videos. My arrangement with the tractor yard is that I can use any one of their tractors at any time that I want. We have to do paperwork to swap and things like that, but if I wanted the LS 357, we could switch. So that is the disclaimer, that is the bias I have. But TYM is not the #1 tractor on this list, and they do not pay me. I have no official affiliation with TYM other than they've invited me to attend one of their events that's coming up. So, all the preambles out of the way, what tractor would I buy today? It's 5 tractors. We're officially going to say 6 tractors because there's an honorable mention. The honorable mention is the Ford 8N. I love those Ford 8Ns. I think they're awesome. You can get them for almost nothing and they run forever. For under $1,000, roughly, I mean the market could have changed. Ballpark here, for $1,000, $1,500, you can get a running Ford 8N tractor and put it to work. The reason it is not one of my 5 choices is it doesn't have a front-end loader. You can get them with the loader. It's probably, it's going to be some kind of homemade setup or an aftermarket. They might be janky. That's the reason I didn't put them at the top. They did not come with a loader. The 5th tractor that I would buy, number 5, ranked on my list, is the tractor that I have. The TYM 574. I love that 574. I've made a big deal about it. I think the value for what you pay for it. The tractor yard has their promotion where if you tell them that you saw my video, you can get the TYM 574 for $35,000 shipped across the country for $1 per mile shipping. I think it's a phenomenal deal. No matter where you buy it, I think the TYM 574 is a great tractor. It has a high lift capacity, and I'm happy with it. But why is it not #1? Oh, I love that tractor. It's the best. It's the best. Why isn't it #1? Well, I'm being honest about what I would buy. And I don't have $35,000. And I have developed over the last few years something that should be probably built into all of us, is that I don't want to go into debt anymore. The borrower is slave to the lender. I am tired of being in debt. I'm not borrowing money for a tractor. Now, if you're in business, your situation might be different. Everyone's situation can be different. But at 44 years old, with my financial situation, my impending retirement I need to prepare for, I'm not in a position where I want to borrow money. So that's why the 574 is further down on the list, if I was actually buying one today. Tractor number 4 on the list is the Coyote 2610. And there's some variations in the model number. I have looked at all these tractors. I've driven a bunch of different Coyote tractors. I've used them on properties. I would go with one of these 25 horsepower Coyote tractors. And might buy it used, might buy it new. Not the biggest thing. I think tractors 5, 4, and 3 on the list, I might buy new. That's the 574 and then this Coyote. Why would I do that? Well, there's no emissions on it because it's a 25 horsepower. They're a large frame machine, so it would be comparable to a John Deere 3025. A Kubota L2501 would be in this same class of tractor. When you stay at that 25 horsepower, you can get a lot less expensive tractor because you're not paying for the emissions components. And it's not going to have the problems of the emissions components. I've highlighted that TYM has a more simplistic emission system that you can bypass if you need to. On a computer-controlled machine, if you have a problem with your emission system, you're going to have to spend a lot of money on having that repaired. But I really like the Coyotes. I like the value you get on the smaller ones. When you go up into like a 57 horse, a comparable tractor to the 574, I think they go towards the higher end on price. But you can get a pretty good price on these little 25 horsepower Coyotes. And they've got good lift capacity. I believe that one's around 1,800 pounds. And I mean, I've pushed into a pile of logs. I've pushed into a brush pile. I've carried logs. I ran a wood chipper on one. I think that that is a good tractor. And I might rank Coyote as my number 2 brand I would recommend for a new tractor for the average person, right behind TYM. Tractor number 3 that I would buy today is a TYM 2515. Now, I didn't put TYM in spots 1 or 2, but they've got spot 3 and 5. So I really like the range of tractors they have. And the 574 is a legacy TYM tractor. It was a TYM tractor before they merged and purchased Branson. The 2515 is a Branson tractor that is now a TYM tractor. And those two tractors are almost like different brands that are now combined and, they're merging together, but there was a different design team originally behind the 2515. And I love the 2515. It's got 2,200 pounds of lift capacity, over 3,000 pounds of rear lift capacity. I've ran them quite a bit. Doing different tasks with them. I ran a hay baler behind one. I've ran the brand new version of it that has a cab. I ran that as a prototype. And big point of reference here, if you're watching this in the future, I believe over time the model number 2515 is being phased out. But the 2515 will still be an option, but it's now going to be called the T3025. It's a consolidation of model numbers to a series and a horsepower. So the 3025 will be a 2515 with a couple of little upgrades added onto it. But whether you call it a 2515 or a 3025, I'm very impressed with the TYM 2515, and I consider it the exact competitor to that 2610 or 2620 from Coyote as far as the frame size and a higher lift capacity and all of those things. So, number 3, 2515. The number 2 tractor that I would buy today with my own money is an old Kubota used tractor. I think used tractors can provide a great value. I think that the Kubota tractors are harder to buy used because they really do hold their resale value. But I've known so many people who bought 1980s, 1990s, early 2000 model Kubotas. And they are very dependable machines that are well designed and just no fuss, no overcomplication, reliable machines. Now, I think buying a brand new Kubota today is not such a great idea. If you're getting one of their smallest base models, not a BX, but like the L series, they can still maybe be a better value. But if you want like a competitor to the 574 from Kubota, I am not a fan of that. It may be the best tractor on the market, but I think the pricing is extreme and it's not justified. Now, why is it at number 2 on my list? Because I would love to have one of those older Kubotas. Now, I messaged my friend Brad. I've been looking on Facebook Marketplace a lot at the older Kubotas. Where's the value? What's the model number I would want? And I'm trying to look it up, and I'm no expert on those exact models of the older Kubotas. So I messaged my friend Brad from Piney Grove. He has a Kubota now not just a tractor, but also an excavator, and he's owned a bunch of different Kubota tractors over his life from different eras, different ranges. He recommends the L4600 is what he would get himself. I was looking at it and thinking I'd go down one size, get an L3800. You're probably going to be close to $20,000 on that tractor, but it's a decent sized machine that you can do a lot of work with. Although I wouldn't, with any of these tractors after the 574, none of the rest of them are going to replace what my 574 can do. They won't have the lift capacity, they won't have the frame size, they won't have the pushing power. But all of this is about money. I don't have $50,000 and I don't want to borrow money. So what would I do? I would buy an older Kubota from the 90s or the early 2000s. Brad recommends the L3800 as the choice there. And the number one tractor I would buy today, if I didn't have one, is a John Deere 955. And you guys know what I think about John Deere. John Deere does some amazing engineering on some of their new tractors. There are individual things about new John Deere equipment that might be the best there is. I do respect a lot of what they do. But when I look at like the John Deere 4066 compared to the TYM 574, I don't see it. I don't see how you can justify that price when the machine is smaller, it can't lift as much, it costs dramatically more money. We're talking $20,000, $25,000 extra for a machine with all these bells and whistles and extra electronics on it that I don't use. And this is a goofy story to throw into a video like this, but it's the truth. When we bought our house, I think the dishwasher didn't work. We bought almost all new appliances. I bought a brand new dishwasher for that house. When everyone else is busy and I'm home more than everyone else is being self-employed, a lot of times I'll go in there and wash some dishes, and I have never loaded that dishwasher. I do it by hand. I think it's too much hassle to mess with pushing the buttons and waiting, and then you've got to unload it and pre-wash it. Well, how's that relate? A sponge and some soap and some hot water has never failed me. I'm not looking to upgrade to a dishwasher. That's what I think about e-hydro on a tractor. And you can call me like a goofball or a redneck or whatever you want to say. I don't want a bunch of knobs and dials on my tractor. I don't want an e-hydro with all these options. I want the most simple thing that does the work. And maybe I'm missing out on something, but when I had the John Deere skid steer with a million buttons and a million settings, I didn't ever change any settings. I used it in the default configuration the way it came, never bothered me, just used it. It's the way I want my tractor to be. And if you're not going to use those settings, why have them? That's why a John Deere 955. Number one is price. If it's in great shape, you might be just over $10,000, but if the thing's a little beat up, you can get them for $8,000, $9,000, maybe with a little bend in the bucket, needs straightened out, something like that. You can do work with it. It's a simple machine. It's nowhere near a rival for the tractor I have out there, but it's not $35,000. That 955, I think they're like a 27 horsepower tractor, and they might lift 1,000 pounds. I've ran one. I've looked at them on Marketplace. I'm not an expert on all the specs, but it's a basic machine, and it wasn't built by John Deere. It was built by Yanmar. Yanmar engine, Yanmar transmission, Yanmar axles, Yanmar from the ground up. Some people make the claim that the current John Deere tractor is a Yanmar built tractor. It is not at all. John Deere buys Yanmar engines. Otherwise, John Deere engineers that machine. They buy components from around the world. They assemble them in the U.S. The John Deere 955, Yanmar built that tractor from the ground up. Now, if you were listening to this and you're wanting to know, well, why didn't he say this and why didn't he say that? Yanmar, I've said, is an amazing tractor. There are so many good tractors. Massey Ferguson makes a great tractor. All the farmers around here drive New Holland. All those are great machines. LS is affordable. If I had to buy a machine today, I'm either buying a TYM, maybe a small Coyote, or I'm finding a 20-year-old tractor. Now, you might think this guy's sponsored to sell equipment. My channel primarily reviews new equipment. Why am I recommending old machines? I'm just telling you what I would buy. And I would buy an old 25-year-old tractor. Now, if you don't want a 25-year-old tractor, or you want 2,000 pounds of lift capacity, or you want bells and whistles, or you want a warranty, whatever it is, there's lots of good options out there. But that's my list. That's my top 5. Number 5, TYM 574. Number 4, Coyote 2620. Number 3, TYM 3025. Number 2, an old Kubota 20-year-old L3800. And number 1, John Deere 955, made from 1988 to 1998, I believe. So I appreciate you taking time to watch the video. I'll put links on the screen to a couple more of our videos, and I'll see you next time.